Jackson here, and today's Rockin' Selection is Walk This Way by Aerosmith. Steven Tyler and Joe Perry wrote this song in 1975, and it appeared on their Toys in the Attic album. It was the second single to be released from that album, and in early 1977 peaked at number 10 on the Billboard charts. It also helped revive Aerosmith's career when it was released by Run DMC in the 80s, and that version helped fuse rock and hip-hop and did very well in the charts. Get your fingers lubricated. There's lots of great riffing in this one. Here's Aerosmith, Walk This Way. All right, as I said, lots of great riffing in this one. What I'm wanting to show you today are the three essential parts of the song, and that is the signature opening riff. What a great one. We'll learn that. We'll also learn how to power chord our way and finesse our way through the verses with C5 power chord and some of the finger work we need to do there. And then finally we'll work on what's played during the chorus part of the song. So giving you those three, you should be well equipped to tackle Walk This Way. So let's start with that signature riff. Okay, the signature riff begins with the following four notes. We're going to play the open A string. 1, 2, 3. We're going to play the A, the B flat, and the B note. And I'm using my first and second fingers there. And then the fourth note in that sequence is the E note on the fourth string. Now I've seen a lot of players on online lessons kind of play this as a hammer, which you can do later in the song, but I think for the intro, I'm going to suggest that you pick each note. Okay, so if I'm playing those first four notes, it's down, 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 down. I hear that kind of attack in the song rather than two picks. I think you'd be better off with the intro playing. Okay, so those are the first four notes. And it just repeats those four notes, but in a slightly different timing. And then the low E string. And that's the riff. Now the second time through, he does a little pull off on the G note here, and then back up to that high E. So you can see what I'm doing there with the third finger. I'm grabbing that G note, pulling off to the open string. So the whole riff. Now the second half is identical apart from the ending. So instead of ending with the little hammer off or pull off on the G and up to this E note, we end on a power A chord, which means I'm really just hammering down on the, I play A, but I'm really 5 and 4 strings here, and I'm going to slide that up because I'm going to end up at a bar C chord up here, a C5 power chord, and that's where I want to take my hands. So just to go through this slowly again. Like so. Okay, a couple little coaching points here. You might notice that notice the little vibrato I put on that note. That's that E note. Just a little bit of a wiggle the string a little bit. So. Okay, and the second thing is I want to mute this just a little bit. Not a full mute, but somewhere between open, like just ever so slightly muted with the the heel of that right hand. Well, just before we leave the signature riff, I was thinking of giving you this as a fine tuning point at the end of the lesson, but I think in retrospect it's an important enough part of the riff to include it now. So please add this to your practicing of the opening and signature riff. It's just a little muted down, up, down, and it shows up twice in the opening and signature riff and everywhere where that riff is played throughout the song. So it's like this. Okay, so as you're practicing that signature riff and opening riff, put the three little muted hits in there. They're important enough to include for sure. Okay, the second piece of the puzzle. After we slide up, we're coming up to a C bar chord, a C5 bar chord. And what I'm basically doing here is I've got my third finger covering the 10th fret of the 5th and 4th strings, and then I'm barring at the 8th fret with my index finger. And this pinky is used to play on and off the 12th fret of the 5th string. And there's a rhythm to this, and if you listen to it, like when I first listened to this, I thought it was just this kind of thing. Just kind of wildly back and forth. Then I realized it was a little more intricate than that. So we do have a little bit of tricky picking work here, and it's like this. There's the start. You can see what my pinky's doing there, on and off at the 12th fret. And now, with that third finger, I'm going to pick up on 4 and 5. So it's so far. And that's where we move our pinky up, and we're going to have to catch 13 and 12. This is the stretching part, a little tricky. And that's the sequence. And of course, this is played much faster than that. And that's the sequence all the way through the verses. So what I'm going to do is, just slowing it down a little bit for you here, I'll pick through that to the extent of a verse, and we'll add the vocal, and you can see how it fits in with the vocal. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Backstroke love always had to leave the covers till I talked to your daddy say. He said you ain't seen nothing till you're down on a muffin and you shouldn't be changing your ways. Man, a cheerleader was a real young bleeder. Over times I could reminisce, cause the best things of loving with a sister and a cousin only started with a little kiss like this.
Alright, that leaves us with the chorus. And the chorus is 2 guitars, one overdubbed over top of the other. So I'll show you what the one guitar is playing, then I'll show you the second part, and then we'll do a little playthrough with picture-in-picture for the chorus. So here's what's being played, and of course it's coming out of a verse. Okay, so that's quite a stretch. I mean, this is a little bit difficult here, but you've got your finger, index finger barring at the 8th fret, your third finger on the 10th fret of the 5th string, then the pinky covers the 12th fret of the 5th string, and then moves up to cover 13. Now you can actually, if it's an easier, and it is a little bit easier actually, you can get rid of that, you can lift that third finger up off the 10th fret just to give yourself a little more stretch. As long as you get it back down when you come down. So that's what the one guitar is playing, and practice that with the stretch. And again, my advice, lift that third finger off the 10th fret when you move the pinky up to 13. Okay, let's find out what the other guitar is playing, the little accent bit, the overdub, and then we'll put the two together. All right, one of the things about listening to a song like Walk This Way with a large amount of overdrive on the guitars, sometimes a little bit hard to hear, and if you search for tabs on this dissonant little chord that's being played here as an accent, you find all sorts of versions of it with fingers in varying positions, but here's what I'm hearing, and I do hear an added note the second time through. So the first time, walk this way. Okay, and I'm getting here my first finger on the 8th fret of the 3rd string and my second finger on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. And a wiggle on it. Like so. The second time through, I'm just going to add my pinky to the 11th fret of the 1st string. And that's just because I'm hearing that added note the second time through. So it's walk this way, talk this way, walk this way, talk this way. Okay, so it just shuttles back and forth there between those two. Again, that one, and then adding the pinky to the 11th fret of the high E string. So let's do a little playthrough of this, and we'll put this part, the little answer chords, the discordant answer chords, into a picture-in-picture for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.
When she told me to walk this way, talk this way, walk this way, talk this way, walk this way, talk this way, walk this way, talk this way.
All right, so let's put the three pieces together, and we'll do a final playthrough here. And just to mix it up a little bit, we'll go from the second verse, from the guitar intro, the guitar riffing, into the second verse, and then into a chorus. Here we go.
See a song swing with the boys cool and your feet flying up in the air. Singing hey diddle diddle with your killie in the middle of the swing like you didn't care. So I took a big chance at the high school dance where the missus was ready to play. Wasn't me, she was fooling, but she knew what she was doing, and I know love was here to stay. And she told me to walk this way, talk this way, walk this way, talk this way, walk this way, talk this way, walk this way, talk this way. Kiss.
All right, fine tuning for Walk This Way. One of the things I could mention to you here is when you're coming out of that riff, and we slide that A chord up, an option for you might be to go to a power A bar chord there. If you do that, to me it doesn't sound quite as effective, but the nice thing about it is you're coming from the A, you're already in the bar position to get into that riffing with the bar here on the 8th fret. So it's an option for you. When you look up this song in chord charts, chord diagrams, tabs, etc., and there's a column that lists level of difficulty, it always lists Walk This Way as hard or difficult, and that's because of the stretching required, some of the flexibility that you need to work on to play this, and the quickness of the picking too. Things that we need to work on, and of course that's why we do these lessons, so you can practice this stuff over and over again and get better at it. But some of the greatest riffing in the history of rock and roll, courtesy of Joe Perry, Steven Tyler on vocals, Aerosmith, Walk This Way. We'll see you next time on Song Mentor.